The mission of Operation Epic Fury is laser focused.
America just put out a statement that if you're an American in the Middle East, you need to leave now, ASAP.
If this situation, Epic Fury, was many months in the planning, as Secretary Hegseth says, why no plan to get our people out of the region? As many as 1 million Americans living in the Middle East given no escape window.
I'm the girl that decided to spend her 30th birthday in Dubai. And I'm coming on here very humbly, asking my president to just seize it. I'm an American taxpaying citizen. And I've now been stuck over here since the 24th.
If you are calling about the crisis in the Middle East, please press 1. If not, press 2. Please do not rely on the U.S. government for assisted departure or evacuation at this time. There are currently no United States evacuation points.
They are toast, and they know it.
Bitch, I'm the one, me cookies with the oil. I'ma get them crackers, hell, should've never kidnapped my family. I can't do better, bet I be the last nigga standing. Do a life sentence for my niggas, pray you understand me. I might put a switch on his Glock and call it Young Boy. How you real tricking on them dots? You a bird feeder, claiming he a demon. What's a demon to a cold leader? What he saying something, I ain't hear. This shit life work. It's on who got this gun, it's on who gon' up that fight first. I turn a bad situation to a game changer. Bring soldiers from the dead, just raise up the chains. Get shots, I'ma look like Aaron Jones when I run it. Never bite the hand that's fever, you won't never get that hand back. He bitch about 10%, I don't wanna hear none of that. He dropping sword, fuck him, just make sure you get that cover back. Look around, he ain't with us, probably cause he never was. Now my chin like you with the angels for your brothers. Everybody wanna be Richard Porter, God kill him like Alpo. Play if he want, it's laying in the trunk like Lee Malvo. A certified rubber ass nigga, I am not a toy. Hey, I with that hollow son. Yeah, this the real McCoy. Feel like Gullah Jack when I'm in Fayetteville, you feel your boy. Still up on my brain, still I think that's all that I do. The way I get it, boy, lost, they gon' start to call him Elroy. Fuck his game, pop out on them demons like I'm Hellboy.
On 44 shit, you know what I mean? Busy man, busy man. Look, when that shit drop, you step all the way on their neck, step on their neck and they head with that shit.
Friday, I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived, they don't know how I did it. Got it out the mud, straight to glory, they don't know how I fed it. Nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. They mad, up to solid, circle tight, yeah, vacuum seal. No, they want my life, I ain't worried, I got rank for it. I got real soldiers, kill for me, nigga, watch yourself. They say you been in beast mode lately, you is not self. When you dropping that fire, pressure smash, they inquiring. They can't stop what's coming, but I see them conspire. Cross the line, them firing. This bitch here, finna break the spin on kindness. I don't trust you, circle small. You can keep your features. Me and my niggas don't keep no secrets. In the field like Jeepers Creepers, say they want some smoke, dog. So I brought these chimney sweeps. Coming like we coming, you can't even count. These niggas don't run it like we running, bitch, don't even start. Bitch, I'm with my niggas till the end, till them do us part. If you wanna leave, you can leave, bitch. Bless your heart, fine in. I ain't show no mercy, we gon' show them boy what time it is. I pop out like I'm Samuel, I got time to kill. Haters thought I died, I survived. They don't know how I did it. Got it out the mud, straight to glory. They don't know how I feel. He nice, but he don't show them skills, how I show them skills. He ride, but he don't work the wheel, how I work the wheel. Oh, I
Those are messed up, no. Bad news is to beat your home, nigga. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, get on his ass real quick one time. 144, baby.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they trade that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, behold.
All right, let me go ahead and turn this sound off in the background. Make sure we don't get no feedback. I'll give it a second. All right, so we good on sound. All right. All right, Most High Christ. All right, so this is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohanan. We have been called to teach the so-called Black, so-called Hispanic, and so-called Native American people that we are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We come to teach you that so you can understand your place in the world. We come to teach you that so you can understand the other nations outside of us and their place in the world. Because right now, you can clearly see that there is an issue happening in the world with nations all around the world, whether it's war, whether it's, discrimination, whether it's people getting ripped from their families. And a lot of people want to know why. A lot of people get confused and they say, if there's a God, how are ICE agents being able to separate, Mexican men and women and children apart and throw them in cages like dogs? A lot of people on the other side wonder, how are, these people in our countries when, this is supposed to be their country? When I say the other side, I'm talking about the oppressor. But a lot of those questions can get solved through just literally looking at the Bible. A lot of your misunderstanding of what the world is showing you is based on the deception of the oppressor. And if you could, can you get the verse that says the most subtle beast in the field? I'm gonna go ahead and read a couple of definitions, and I'll get it in what is the American Heritage Dictionary, which thus far has been pretty reliable. And I'll also get you the definition in or on the internet rather. All right. So what you're seeing is deceit. What you're seeing are lies that are helping further, put our people to shame and make us scapegoats of things that are not our faults. It's helping to show, the devil on earth as an angel of light. And I'm going to read the definition. And whenever you're ready to read that verse after I'm finished, you can go ahead and read it. It says propaganda, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a particular cause, doctrine, or point of view. I want y'all to pay attention to something that is in that definition. It's not only to get you to see something a certain way, but it says a biased or misleading nature, especially a biased or misleading nature. So a biased nature typically would mean it's a biased point of view. You only want people to see it from your point of view and not the truth. A misleading nature would be something that is not actually the truth. It is a lie. I want to read that if you have.
This is Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
So the serpent, and what this is describing is people as animals, and it's describing a nature. And we know how that works. If you describe somebody as a rat, they are what? They would be a snitch. They would be somebody you can't trust. I know Ka'ash knows this one because we've called the oppressor this many times. If we call the oppressor a snake, what would we be saying about the oppressor?
That's purple.
Yeah, no. What would we be saying about the oppressor?
We calling them like a sneaky lion bastard.
Me and Ka'ash on the same page. One mind, one body. So that's what we'd be calling. That's what the scriptures are describing. Continue.
Kamakan, which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, have God said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God have said, You should not eat of it.
Right. Can God tell a lie? No. Right. So the Lord, by God, told Adam and Eve not to eat of the tree because you will surely die. This snake, this serpent, this bastard is telling Eve something else because she doesn't have the covering of her husband to be over her at that time to tell her the truth. Let's get a little bit more on that, and then we'll go back into
of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, You shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, You shall not surely die. For God doeth know that in the day you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Right. So that was misleading nature. That was something that was used to promote a particular doctrine. And it was something that was biased that this serpent did. And chime in whenever you're ready. It's going to be one of them classes where it could be a back and forth. So whenever you want to chime in, just feel free. So one of the things I wanted to break down is what I'm holding in my hand right now is a King James 1611 version of the Bible. And when you look through this Bible that King James had originally authorized, you will see many things that you don't see in a current version of the King James. One of the things that you'll notice is that there are books that are no longer in the King James Version Bible that used to be there. And what was able to be done was propaganda by our enemies to remove these books that were, it was, for lack of a better word, I don't want to use the oppressor's word, but this was actual canon. King James authorized it. This is a 1611 King James Version Bible. And what did the oppressor use? They used lies, doctrine, and propaganda to get us to believe that these scriptures did not belong in the Bible. And this is something that you over and over again with the oppressor. And from the up until the days of right now, you will see Edomites spewing lies out their mouth about the children of God, about God himself, about Christ. Even if you, matter of fact, I'll wait to get to that. I'll wait to get to that. Give me 1 second. Let me actually pull that. Give me 1 second. All right. All right, Kaash, if you could read 1 Maccabees 3 and I believe 48. Because, and I'll tell you as soon as I'm ready. Because we don't even understand how strong the propaganda was with convincing us that a so-called white man, a so-called, individual from the Caucasus Mountains was Christ. They convinced us that through propaganda, through a stronghold that they had, through lies, through a campaign of just drilling it in our heads until now, when somebody in their mind thinks of Christ, because the propaganda was so strong, they have it in their mind that Christ is a white man with pale skin and is a person that has brown or blonde hair that is stringy, and the scriptures describe it as something else. But if we can get that in First Maccabees, I believe, what did I say?
48.
It's actually First Maccabees 3 and 48. Salakia.
Khan. This is First Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of images. So
at the time, who was the heathen during the Maccabees? It was the Greeks. And if the scriptures are saying they laid open the book of the law and they sought to paint the likeness of their own self I'm summarizing. If the Jews and the Greeks are the same complexion, how would this verse even have validity? Like, how would it make sense if let's say I'm a Greek, Kaash is a Jew, we're both the same complexion, and then I take the book after conquering Kaash's people and I start painting the image, it's gonna be we're the same. So you can see there was a clear difference in the Jews and the Greeks by this verse. This is ISUPK. You're going to start having to break down these scriptures precept upon precept, have to develop critical thinking skills. The devil has got us in a trick bag to where whatever they say, we'll believe it. They'll say something as if it's a fact, and because of propaganda, because we trust the voice of the oppressor, we'll just believe whatever they say. But the scriptures say that this heathen sought to lay open the book of the law and sought to paint the likeness of their images, of their self. They wanted to paint the likeness of their image. So if you see an angel, just know that a Greek or a Caucasian is the one who painted the image of themselves. If you see Christ, what else do we have? The prophets. They took everything from us, and over a long period of time, we began to think that the propaganda was true, to where people will laugh at you on the streets if you say Christ was black. They'll say, no, he was olive. Christ ain't no damn ninja. Right. They'll say Christ was an Arab when it specifically says that Christ was an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. All right. If I could, let me get if you could hold for me. Let me see. I want to go to Esther 3 in chapter 1, but I want to break some stuff down. And I'll talk about this article very quickly. So you have the power right now in America. If you are a white person in the White House who is a correspondent, who is under Donald Trump, you can lie and people will believe it through propaganda. There was a story that just came out. It was this young black man, and there was a article that covered it as well. And what it showed was this young black man standing with other young black men. And it pretty much said across the front of the meme that the cartel has a $50,000 bounty on ICE agents. And it was saying that the black men wanted to collect that bounty. But that was a lie. And that was tweeted by the Department of Homeland Security. What was really said in the meme before they altered it, which was AI, altered. What was really said is black men saying that they stood with America against Iran, and they pretty much were ready to go in solidarity with the United States. So riddle me this. If you're a black person in America and you decide to stand with the American government, and they still switch it up on you and say that you're actually threatening ICE agents, do you believe that this place is really something safe for you, where it can literally be clearly seen that it was a lie, but they keep it up on the website? They don't issue an apology. Legal action can be taken because of what was done, but they don't. Can you hit the screen is showing background? No sweat. Let me make sure we're on the same page. Salakia. Let me see. Go ahead and did it come back up? Looks like it's coming back up. Most high in Christ. But standing with America as a black person doesn't mean nothing. There's still a white neighborhood that's being created that you're not going to be allowed to go to. A lot of black people that have cooned and danced and tap dance for the white, the oppressor. They weren't invited to Charlie Kirk's funeral, and you're going to realize, well, by the time it's too late, that these people never had interest at heart. It's not just a system that's doing it. It is a nation of people that's doing it to you. The healthcare system is not just a healthcare system that operates on its own. It is a nation of people that decide what the healthcare system does. And if the healthcare system didn't have an issue, or excuse me, if the oppressor didn't have an issue with black people getting free healthcare would be free for everybody. But they figure since black people are going to get it, we'll put a cost on it and eliminate black people being able to get it because they know how to keep black people poor. All right. If I could, can you read, let me see. Can you read, and I'll break this one down and we'll get back to it. Can you read Esther chapter 3 and verse 1?
Come with Khan. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advance him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
So Haman, the Agagite, was promoted by the king. And this is during the time of Esther. Who is Haman? Because right now, if you look on different media outlets, you'll see people like Charlie Kirk. You'll see people like, what's the other guy's name? Nick Fuentes. And they say lies, and I'm going to prove it. They say lies against black people and spread propaganda. That's not true. Well, I'm here to let you know this was done to the Jews even in the time of Esther. Propaganda to sway the opinions of somebody that may have not been otherwise, swayed. So who is Haman? Haman the Agagite. Let's read it. It says, and Tema in Salaki, this is Genesis 36 and 12. And Tema was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. So Esau is the forefather of the white races. And she bare Eliphaz, Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. Let's go to 1 Samuel 15 and 32 to bring it home. All right. Then said Samuel, bring ye hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. So Agag, which is the same thing that Haman was, the Agagite, is also involved or related to the Amalekites. So this lets you know that all of these people are tied into Esau, which would make them the common day white man. All right. So let's get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and read this real quick and let me see. All right, so this is Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman, which is, a descendant of Esau, the white man, said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. He's starting to show you that in his mind, and with his propaganda, that our laws are different, meaning they're bad. They're not as good as the other laws that are in the kingdom. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. So what he's saying is they don't keep the laws of the people. They have other laws and they don't keep the king's laws either. So King Ahasuerus, you should unalive them. You should not suffer them anymore. And this is what a oppressor did to the children of Israel back in the day. Let me read another thing about propaganda. The goal of propaganda targeting a race of people is to dehumanize them. So what Haman did with the Israelites is try to dehumanize us in the eyes of the king. A process that strips the target group of its human qualities to manipulate public perception. If you can take away, and can you just make sure every so often you just hit the screen, make sure the water. If you can dehumanize Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, it won't matter when something terrible is happening to us. They haven't fully been able to dehumanize the people in Gaza because people are calling it a genocide. But Planned Parenthood isn't seen as a genocide. Cops hunting Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans down is not seen as a genocide yet because we have been fully dehumanized through different media outlets. It says this tactic erodes empathy and moral objections, enabling discrimination, violence, and even genocide. That's why Haman is doing what he's doing in the sight of the king. That's why he's saying what he's saying to erode any empathy that the king would have for the Israelites. That way it can create a genocide. All right. Let me move up to something I wanted to read. Let me see. All right. All right. So Charlie Kirk, the late great Charlie Kirk, the Messiah of the devil, came, and what he said about black people. This is a quote he said on May 19th, 2023. He said, "Happening all the time in urban America, prowling blacks go around for fun to target white people. That's a fact," he said. This is what he says. It's happening more and more. So what did we just learn about propaganda? What we learned is if your propaganda is effective, you can erode the empathy from the people with that particular subject group. Charlie Kirk was a master at doing this. He would say it was a fact. He would say it was, statistics, and they would believe it because his propaganda game was very strong. But let me go ahead and read something. All right. This is something that all you have to do is research. So Charlie Kirk is saying that hate crimes are being committed essentially against white people by black people in urban areas. But what's really happening is based on a 2023 FBI data study, black or African Americans are the most frequent victims of race-based hate crimes in the US. But yet in 2023, Charlie Kirk is saying the exact opposite. Because what he was the arm of was Charlie Kirk was really the arm of the American government to further dehumanize and lie on black people. What was the verse that we read about the most subtle beast in the field? Can you read that one more time, just a part? Because Charlie Kirk was a very subtle beast. He would pretend like it was stats. He would pretend like he was being genuine, but really it wasn't genuine because the stats are saying it's the opposite. The stats are saying we're the victims when Charlie Kirk is really saying that we are the assailants, and that's not actually the truth. Go ahead.
This is Genesis chapter 3 and verse 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
The oppressor is one of the best liars, one of the best pushers of propaganda in the entire world out of any nation in existence. The oppressor is the best at deceit. That's why we would call him the devil, because devil is deceit. And one of the chief tribes of the oppressor is the small hats, the people who sit over Israel and are creating a genocide right now. Let's get that one more time from the top, if we could, Bible the show.
I will come. Genesis 3 and 1. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
Any beast of the field. So say that blacks are, if you want to say that other people are rats, snakes, pigs, this, that, and the fourth, just know that the serpent, which represents the oppressor, is the most subtle and the most deceitful beast of the field. That's how the Most High is describing, and he is bearing record and giving us so we can break through the propaganda strongholds. All right. Let me show you how subtle this devil is. The Washington Post released an article a while ago that says Americans only read the headlines and not much else. So if you put a headline about a story, that's the story. That's what's happening. There was an article that came out and it was something positive about black people. And what happened? It was thrown to the wayside because of propaganda, because something was said that wasn't actually what was happening. What was said in CNN was paying kids not to kill. And I brought this up before, but it needs to be remembered. It's something that we need to see how, this oppressor works in the news and media outlets. And I'm going to read something in a book called Chosen People of the Caucus. Because if you don't have control over the media as black people, you don't have control of what is up of. That sexy red can be shown as the example of a black woman, which is just propaganda. That's how Megan Thee Stallion can be shown as our representation when Kamala Harris is trying to get votes. That's how different rappers can wear dresses like Young Thug and actually be somebody that is completely detrimental because they can use our own images and propaganda against us. So again, the article says paying kids not to kill. I would think that was negative. I remember me, Kaash, and another brother talked about this in class during the class, and we pretty much all came to the conclusion that, man, to hell with them kids. I'm not paying my hard-earned tax money to have you not killed. You need to go to jail. If you word it like that, you're going to think these black kids need to go to jail. The propaganda is so strong. When you say poor, you think of black. When you say criminal, you think of black. When you say anything negative, you think of black. But if you say hero, in your mind, white. If you think of something like invention of some technological advance, in the minds of people, it's going to be somebody white, even though we are but the propaganda doesn't get to show that. All right, let me go ahead and read a little bit of this article about what CNN kind of trashed. All right. And let me see if I can actually find it. Give me 1 second. I might actually just give a brief synopsis of what it actually is. Let me see. Matter of fact, I'll just give a brief synopsis. I won't go to the actual article for the sake of time because we're not going to be here long. Let me see. All right. So the Washington Post, the Washington Post is the one who actually said Americans only read headlines and not much else. CNN put out an article that said paying kids not to kill and kind of like destroyed our perception of what the program actually was. But the program was something excellent for black men that were destroyed by, various means of the United States government and different systems. What this says is a total of 68 fellows. We talk about this program here, so we can kind of break through these strongholds of propaganda. A total of 68 fellows, the most lethal young men most likely to be killed in our city, have been through the program since June 2010. What this is saying is there was a program that was created, and I can't remember the name, but we'll get it for you later. I'll probably make a clip about it. It says that in Richmond, I believe it was Richmond, California, a program was created to stop the violence of black men and rehabilitate them. And a stipend was actually given. So they gave these men counsel and they gave them, funds so they could actually feed themselves and their family. And we'll read what the results of that was. 94% are still alive. So it had a 94% success rate. These men were not only bad off and probably the most likely to be killed, but now it's saying after the program's completion, it says 94% are still alive. And 79 have not been suspected of a new gun crime. Bogan says this is a person who is telling us about the program. Of the 21%, one has been convicted of a gun homicide. 12 have been convicted of firearms possession and 8 have been suspected in shootings. Some fellows who successfully complete the program are allowed to reapply for another 18 months. Most move into the world. They are no longer the person we met day one of fellowship. So these people have begun to change their lives because of the program. But when you heard from CNN, they made it seem like we're just throwing away money to convince would-be killers not to kill. That's propaganda. They're trying to sway the opinion and probably get the program removed. Even after they leave, the ONS stays in contact with them, if for no other reason than to lend support when they might struggle. That's what black men need. We need support. We need structure because that has been ripped away from us. The city has experienced, after this program, let's see how much crime was reduced. The city has experienced a 76% reduction in gun homicides since the fellowship began in 2009. The agency says the program can't take all of the credit for the reduced crime, Bogan says. Police work and an improved economy also play a part. So an improved economy not only played a part. If you destroy the economy around black people, that's going to create criminals. If you take fathers out of the household, that's going to create criminals. If you take programs, much needed programs away, that's going to create criminals. 76% crime reduction from a program that re-assimilated brothers into a society that hates them, and it still worked. Come on, man. What the hell is CNN talking about? CNN was able to tell you something and make you think another way than it actually was. Why? Because the serpent is the most subtle beast than any other one in the field. All right, let's go. Let's get back to it. All right, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me get back to the notes. And Kaash, if you could read Esther chapter, I believe is it chapter 3 and verse 8 one more time? Let me get it for you real quick because I'm back where I need to be. Let me get Esther chapter 3 and verse 8 one more time.
Khan. This is Esther chapter 3 and verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad.
There are black people who are scattered abroad. The minority. If you're scattered amongst people, you're a minority. Continue.
Khan. And dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
Through all the provinces of the United States, through all the cities, black people are scattered. Continue.
And their laws are diverse from all people.
They're different than everybody else. They're not worth, any programs, EBT, which is getting stripped away. They're not worth any rehabilitation programs because they don't have any fathers. They're black people. Continue.
And their laws are slackened. Neither keep they the king's laws.
They are literally what did she call us? Super predators. That's what Clinton spoke in. Super predators. Joe Biden called us, pretty much said that we were pretty much people that were going to beat somebody over the head for their wallet and we weren't worth saving. And he didn't care what we went through. This is literally something that has been said about us since I'm not sure what that was, but this is literally something that has been said about us, since the beginning of time. Since the record of Esther, these people have been trashing our names. Continue.
Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to get to the king's treasury.
So check that out. ICE agents are they have this propaganda against the Mexicans, and ICE agents are being paid a handsome fee to rip our brothers away from their families. Even they're going to fix whatever issues they have, but the propaganda has been so strong. The dumbest of dumb people are like, well, they're not in this country legally, they don't need to be here. And this type of talk has been since our forefathers, our ancestors. And we need to know exactly who our enemy is. They say, oh, you don't need the Bible. It's archaic. It's this, that, and the fourth. But if you can see who your enemy was back then, you can see who your enemy is now. All right. Let me get let me see. Let me get, if I could. Let me get 2 Timothy chapter 3 and 13. And if you can make Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans scapegoats of crime, of every terrible thing in this country, then you don't have to look at who the real problem is. Right now, there's no you know, there's no real big push to, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? The word I'm looking for is when you gosh, you help me out with this one. It's when you search for certain groups of people based on their color. I can't remember it right now. It slips my mind. Like profiling. There we go. I think I might have read your mind. Profiling. Right now, there's no big push to profile white men between certain ages that are, you know, mass shooters. But there is a push to profile Hispanics that are most of a lot of the people are legally in this country. There's more legal people in this country that are Hispanics than there are not. But you're going to profile every single person that Hispanic, that's Haitian. So that means my black ass got to walk down the street and worry about getting arrested and detained and trying to prove that I'm not a slave that doesn't belong in this country, like the times of the transatlantic slave trade. Where are your papers at? The propaganda is so strong that a lot of people are okay with this. But let's read what we were going to.
Comment. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 13. But evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse.
These evil men, whatever party you think they're from, whether you think they're a Republican or a Democrat, these evil men are going to do more and more evil. What's going to happen is they're going to do more and more things that are just incredibly evil. Donald Trump is an outright liar. Did you see what he's doing with the White House? He's literally tearing down parts of the White House so he can make I think it's $250 million ballroom. Did you hear about that? He literally said he wasn't going to mess with the current structure of the White House. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to mess with it, this, that, and the fourth. He looked down when he said it. I wish we could play the video, but he looked down when he said it. I watched the video like 4 times. His eyes looked down and he looked back up and was talking about how wonderful. Mind you, he talked about the ballroom after Charlie Kirk was unalive and they were asking questions about it. He switched the topic to his beloved ballroom. But they are literally jackhammering and ripping apart parts of the White House East Wing for a ballroom, and Donald Trump was able to lie and say that wasn't going to happen. More and more evil is going to happen. Okay. Let's say these oppressors are evil seducers. Donald Trump deceived Nick Fuentes, who is an advocate of racism against Hispanic Americans. Donald deceived a lot of different people that are evil. It says, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. Not only are the seducers being evil and deceiving us, but they're deceiving each other as well. It's in their nature. We get the brunt of it because we trust the enemy. We get the brunt of it. Let's go back to Charlie. I want to read Charlie Kirk's quote one more time, because this is some sheer propaganda happening all the time in urban America, prowling. He you know what he's attributing those characteristics to? A terrible assailant, like somebody that's like some vicious, just fiend, a lion, some type of predator going around and just doing this for fun to target white people. And then he says that's a fact. It's happening more and more. Where's the proof? Bias motivation categories for victims of single bias incidents in 2024. All right. 53.2% was based off of race and ethnicity. Based on a 2023 FBI data study, Black or African Americans are the most frequent victims of race-based hate crimes in the U.S. So if you take that 53% of the hate crime motivation Most of that is black people being terrorized because they're black. And then you have the Democrats that never gave us enough protections, and they put out propaganda about sexual orientation, and they make up only 17%. I don't even think it's that much. I think that's a lie, because you got a lot of Jesse, what's his name, Jussie Smollett, Jesse Smollett, who lies about homosexuality being a target. But they're only 17.2% of 100%. We make up more than half of hate crimes. And Charlie Kirk and his goofy behind is talking out the crack of his ass about propaganda that does not exist, saying black people are prowling and targeting whites. It's an outright lie. It's a lie. All right. If I could, let me get, and just to make the connection for you guys, because I want you guys to remember, the time of Esther is thousands of years ago. Haman is literally a descendant of Esau. He is a white man. Charlie Kirk is a so-called white man. And here in different time periods, are they both inciting lies about us, or propaganda rather, to create a bias against us, to dehumanize us, to where we become the targets of a genocide? History is going to repeat themselves. What the scriptures say, there is nothing new under the sun. I'm summarizing, paraphrasing, and that thing is man. This spirit has been on the earth forever. The deceitfulness, the bringing of propaganda against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and it's something that's crazy. There's something that's called the Alamo. I don't know if everybody remembers that, but there's something that's called the Alamo. What the Alamo was Mexicans going to war against the so-called white man because they didn't want to adhere to the laws of Mexico. And they wanted to have slaves when slaves were outlawed. In fact, you were not allowed to have a slave. So there was a hero that I've always heard about. And the propaganda was very strong with this hero. His name was Davy Crockett. They called him a frontiersman. When I was a kid, when you imagine Davy Crockett, it was somebody that had a furry hat with a raccoon tail on it. Somebody with an axe that could chop down a tree. Somebody who could probably figure out anything in the wild like MacGyver. But really, what Davy Crockett was a lawless, disgusting excuse for a human being that was fighting for my people to be in slavery. But guess what? The good Mexican people, the good black people were not standing for it. And Davy Crockett lost his life in that battle. But the propaganda have you thinking Davy Crockett's some type of hero. Well, they made a pact. What they call it? They were smoking on a Crockett pack back during the Alamo. They caught a body with Davy Crockett. The reason why I'm saying it like that is because I want the propaganda of black on black crime to be eliminated, because I hear a lot of brothers and sisters seeing what's out there as far as media, and now we become targets. We become targets to not only the oppressor, but each other, just because of propaganda. When really, we're still being hung from trees in different states. Why? Because we've been dehumanized by people like Haman and Esther, people like Charlie Kirk, people like Joe Biden, people like Donald Trump. Remember that propaganda with Donald Trump with the what was that? The famous case where the 5 black young men were convicted of a crime.
Central Park 5.
The Central Park 5. Donald Trump was dropping that propaganda on everybody. What makes you think he can't do it again? Or doesn't? There is literally lies being told about us daily. But let me get a quick verse about how the Lord feels about that. All right, give me a second. And I'm going to give you all some statistics and facts about our oppressor and what's actually real. All right. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and 7. If the Lord was with us, they wouldn't be able to talk trash about us and create weaponized propaganda. They wouldn't. All we got to do is stand with the Lord. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, any beast that I own, anything that is mine, any of my people. This oppressor once the Lord is with us, won't even be able to utter bad words about. And in the kingdom, if anything out of pocket is said about us, you're going to end up like Davy Crockett. The Lord is going to do it, not us, because we're not advocating violence against the nations as the nations do against us. Continuing the verse, that ye may know how that the Lord doth difference between the Egyptians and Israel. We put a difference between us and every other heathen on earth. Let me get one more in Joshua 10 and 21. Show you why we need the Lord on our side. And all the people returned to the camp of Joshua at Makkedah in peace. None moved his tongue any of the children of Israel against any of the children of Israel. I can't wait till that day happens, because there are so many negative things that are being said about us, and it becomes the reality in people's mind. You ever have a conversation with an oppressor that hasn't been around too many black people, and you can tell they have a preconceived notion about you? If you can think of any examples, please let me know. I'll tell you one right now. I remember working at a refinery, and as soon as I entered the room to unlock the different tools and the things that these oppressors needed, one of them kept going, I said it like 15 times. As if the way I'm saying it is if that's the way he saw it on TV, and that's how we all communicate. It is brothers that have flavor and they use slang, colloquialisms, all this stuff. I believe mostly every single black person does. But if I'm having a discussion in an environment that's supposed to be quote unquote professional, there's going to be certain language that I may not use. But yet this Edomite wanted to bring that forth in the midst of a conversation that I wasn't even having with him. Why? Because this oppressor wants to have propaganda and a preconceived notion about you. All right, let me get to it. All right, so let me see if I can find anything about the Alamo. I'll just, because I come upon this often because of how crazy it is. All right, time cool, and I just want to read a little bit about it. It says, we've been telling the Alamo story wrong for nearly 200 years. So for 200 years, there's been lies and propaganda about the Alamo, which was when blacks and Hispanics joined together to fight against the oppressor who wanted to keep slavery in their country, in Mexico. Now it's time to set the record straight. All right, so it looks like the article was setting the record straight. Let me see if I can find anything specific I want to read. Otherwise, I'll move on. And this took around the time of around the early 1800s, I believe in the 1830. Let me see. I might just go ahead and skip over it for the sake of time. But from the title, you get the general gist. We'll go ahead and drop that, and we'll get back to it. All right. So, even though the most subtle beast of the field is the oppressor, and they are the devil that the Bible speaks of, there's a Bible verse that says, ye are of your father, the devil. Let me get that for you. All right. This is the book of John, chapter, hold on, let me make sure I'm in the, this is the book of John, chapter 8 and 44. Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. If the oppressor is the devil, then anytime you see a coon capping for this oppressor, just know that the reason why they're doing that is because they have the spirit of the devil on. There is no reason for there to be this much access to information that a black person doesn't know what we've been through. There is not a event on earth that was more terrible than what happened during the transatlantic slave trade. Other than them raping us, other than them kidnapping us, taking us from our families, other than them beating us until we were unconscious, other than them tying us down in front a congregation of other black people and raping us, there were other horrible things that happened. One of them is they would chop us up into pieces and actually eat us. There's a book called The Delectable Negro. There was a brother who tried to fight against the oppressor, and they literally cut off his genitalia and forced him to eat it. And they ate parts of his body. But through the propaganda, they'll act like they're not the cannibals and the Native Americans are. Well, let me read a little something real quick. This is Chosen People from the Caucasus. And this is to give you an insight about the chief tribe of the oppressor. And it lets you know, and I'll hold up the book one more time. This is Chosen People of the Caucasus from Michael Bradley. And he covers a lot of different things in here. One of them is this. This is page 23. I believe this is chapter 1. Let me see. Yeah, I believe this is chapter 1 in Chosen People of the Caucasus, page 23. It says, Jewish control of North American mass media gives and has given ample scope for subtle and non-subtle manipulation of public opinion. What did we talk about? We talked about how this oppressor is the most subtle beast in the field. I'll read that again. Jewish control, and these are not my words. This is a, maybe you'll believe it, because if you can see on the back, I don't know if they can see that. Can you see who he is right here?
I can try to zoom in.
No. But can you tell this is a oppressor?
Yeah, I can look at it.
Most High Christ. So these are his words. Now, he could be one of the people that's seducing and being seduced. But I believe this to be true because for the Bible tells me so. Jewish control of North American mass media gives and has given ample scope for subtle and non-subtle manipulation of public opinion. Let me read the definition one more time of propaganda. Information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote a particular cause, doctrine, or point of view. Let me get the other definition in this book. All right, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I think this is the right page. Let me see. Oh, they done threw me in a trick bag. Give me 1 second. All right, propaganda. All right, so this is the definition that's out of the American Heritage Dictionary. I'll go ahead and read that. Propaganda, the systematic propagation of a given doctrine, ideas, information of other material disseminated to win people over to give a doctrine. They're letting you know that things are being disseminated out in the world, and it is swaying the people when it's not something that's actually necessarily true. All right, so I'll continue to read. Distortion of self-perception and even propaganda which has molded foreign policy. Do you know that the propaganda with this group of people said, and it says Jewish, they said this, I didn't say that. They said Jewish control of North American mass media is the one that dictates, our point of view. But do you know through phrases of propaganda like Israel has a right to defend itself, they have been able to utterly eradicate any normal life on the Gaza Strip? And they've done things to us like this for years. I was reading it, but I believe that an Agagite is literally, you know what? I won't get too much into that, but we'll continue. Salakia. All right. Give me 1 second. All right, let's get into some statistics and we'll get ready to wrap it up. This won't be a long class, but let's get into some statistics, and it'll help you because the propaganda is so strong that we need to get through it to protect ourselves and our children and our nation. All right. So they were saying that we're the assailants, that we're running around. We are the 13% that make up, X amount of crimes. And that was a lie as well. Black people are the most highly exonerated group of any other people on the face of the earth when it comes to crime, because we didn't do it and we were arrested for no reason. All right. According to the RAIN website, which references the Department of Justice, white individuals constitute 57% of perpetrators of sexual violence. Why didn't Charlie Kirk bring this out and say, hey, we have to stop being the 57%? They only make up 28%. White males only make up 28% of the US population. Yet they make up 57% of perpetrators of sexual violence. Or I'm sorry, let me not mislead. It says white individuals constitute 57% of perpetrators of sexual violence, yet only make up 28% of the US population. Child predators. 47% of individuals sentenced for child pornography were sentenced for trafficking child pornography. 43.9 of the 43.9% of them were arrested for possessing. 8.8% were arrested for receiving pornography. 98% of these people were men. Can you guess what was the percentage of them that were white? Take a quick guess, Kyle. If you could, Baba Kashab.
75%.
71%. That's a damn good guess. Most high place. Kaash knows who the devil is. 71% of people involved were white men. These are not my words. These are coming from FBI studies. This is coming from the RAIN website. If we read into history, we could break down the propaganda and understand what's really going on. There is something that dates back to the time of Rome and Greece, and it is called pederasty. This is something that should be studied, and it should be something that people should be arrested for. The definition is sexual activity involving a man and a boy or youth. This is disgusting. It's talking about sexual relations between two males, especially when one of them is a minor. This is something that the Greeks practiced, and it's something that our oppressor has carried on. But why didn't Charlie Kirk get into these statistics? Why didn't Nick Fuentes get into these statistics? Why aren't the Hodge twins talking about these statistics? They would rather further lie about propaganda. But what about the 77? Oh no, Salakia Kash, you were closer than I thought. As I skipped down, Salakia, forgive me. We underestimated the so-called oppressor. 77%. 77%, not 75, 77% were white. Let's get back to pederasty. Let me give you some additional information on what that is and how it's carried out today, how it should be studied, because these people on both sides, do you see all the men that are being arrested and they're on Trump's, side as far as MAGA concerned, and they have something to do with child pornography and child molestation? There's a lot of men being arrested, people that wore Charlie Kirk shirts. Now that's a fact. I'm not pulling statistics out of my ass. I'm getting them from valid sources. All right. The definition of pederasty: in archaic and classical Greece, pederastia had been a formal social relationship between freeborn males. This is something that was practiced between free men that were white in Greece, taken out of context and refashioned, they're talking about in modern times, as the luxury product of conquered people. So later, after Greece, at first it was a freeborn thing that took place in Greece. And then later it was refashioned and it became a luxury. So the general populace of Greece was involved with pederasty. And then later rich people took it over. What that sound like? Epstein Island? Mm-hmm. That's pederasty. What's that sound like? Child trafficking in a lot of these European different countries. Where are these statistics? Y'all talk about the 13% with blacks being the criminals and the proponent of everything that's going wrong in this country. When you guys are 77%, when you guys are literally 57% of rapes, or excuse me, grapes and child pornography. Why can't we get the truth? You want to know why? Because the lie is far more entertaining and far more better for their purpose when they can lie on us, as Haman did in the time of Esther against the children of Israel, as Charlie Kirk did against the children of Israel, even until today. I hear a lot from our brothers the truth, and they say that if Charlie Kirk had, maybe concentrated on, the problems with his people, maybe he would be alive today. Maybe he might have been behind a glass, a bulletproof glass shield, to where it would have been apparent that a sniper shot didn't come from in front of him. Because with this devil being deceived and being a deceiver, who knows, what really happened. But as far as we know, this was perpetrated by a white suspect. Well, let me look up something real quick for you guys. Gosh, you got anything you wanted to add or live? No sweat. Let me see. All right, let me see if I can look this up. All right, this is what AI is saying. And a lot of times I can break down AI lying, but this is what AI is saying. AI is saying, according to multiple studies, most mass shooters in the United States have been white. Man, I thought we were the criminals that were committing all the crimes. I thought we were the predators, the perpetrators, and the prowlers. But man, the numbers are showing us something different. The Lord is showing us that we've been lied on since the beginning of time. And propaganda has been used to change the Bible. Not change, but strip the scriptures out of it. Propaganda has been used to change Christ, the angels, God, and the children of Israel white. But man, I thought it was our fault, everything that's going wrong. Won't you just listen to the truth, Black, Hispanic, and Native American, that something bad is coming down the pipeline and is going to affect us the most and first? I'm trying to bring you the truth, but a lot of times when we bring people the truth, we become the enemy. We tried to tell you that Barack Obama wasn't going to do anything for Black people. He didn't. He did things for what's the term I'm looking for? The LGBTQ community. Man, there was a whole neighborhood built to protect them. And they're only 17% of hate crimes, and we're 53%. We are 53% of the victims when you people are 77% of the assailants of crimes committed. Let me see where I want to go with this before I end it. Excuse me. All right. All right. So back to a little bit of pederasty, and we'll get into how they're making an organization about it, and we'll, an organization about it, and we'll go ahead and end it. It says, in Greece, pederasty had been a formal social relationship between freeborn males. So pedophilia was something that was practiced in Greece amongst freeborn males. It's in your blood. Taken out of context and refashioned as the luxury product of a conquered people, pederasty came to express roles based on domination and exploitation. So they started doing this pederasty stuff to other people that they conquered later. It was no longer just something that they did in their society. The rich people said, you know what? I want this disgusting delicacy to be practiced amongst the rich and the aristocratic. Henceforth, the island of Jeffrey Epstein. All right. And these aren't my words as far as pederasty is concerned. I'm finding out what's being, recorded in history. Right now, there's a a present organization who would like to engage in that freely, as they did in the time of Greece, in a formal social relationship. And you want to know what that's called? NAMBLA. NAMBLA. When you see this oppressor walking around as a rich person and they have boys dressed as women, black boys dressed as women, when you see a rich Edomite that is a actress and they're dressing their adopted black people as girls when they're really boys, just remember, in the time of Greece, these people had a formal pedophilic relationship with young minors. The new, and this isn't going to be new to us in the UPK because we knew about this and we've been speaking against it. But NAMBLA, which is the North American Man-Boy Love Association, is that title not disgusting? The North American Man-Boy Love Association is a pedophilia and pederasty advocacy organization in the United States. Even the definition of what they are goes back to the time of Greece. I'm showing you that this oppressor has a history of just disgusting activity, whether it be lying about us being criminals or them actually being the real perpetrators of just disgusting atrocities. To have a sexual relationship with a minor, that is a death penalty offense according to God. Now, I'm not saying that we're going out and hunting down pedophiles like, Blade did vampires. But what I'm saying is it's a wrong thing to do to a child. What I'm saying is the Lord doesn't like it. We don't advocate violence against people based off of their sexual preference. We don't advocate against violence against people based on their race. But according to the numbers, our oppressor, the people that hate us and lie on us, do. All right, let me read just a little bit more and then we'll get up out of here. Good night. Lord in heaven. Oh, man, this is the NAMBLA Association website. It says who we are. This was published in 2011. It says, welcome, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. That is outlandishly fruity. It was formed in 1978. It was inspired by the success of a campaign based in Boston's gay community to defend against a local witch hunt. Yo, why is it okay for y'all to, assault young people in a sexual manner? How is that okay? Why are they advocating for something like this and saying they've looked at other instances in the gay community as success, and that's what inspired. It says building understanding and support for such relationships. Oh, hold on, wait. I missed the part. This is the last part I want to read. NAMBLA's goal is to end the extreme oppression of men and boys in mutual consensual relationships. One of their goals is building understanding and support for such relationships, educating the general public on the benevolent nature of man-boy love, cooperating with lesbian, gay, feminists, and other liberation movements. Yo, when you are a part of these movements, if you're a part of the gay movement, if you're a part of the feminist movement, NAMBLA wants to use you and cooperate with you to have a sexual relationship with a minor. And Black women want to be a part of the feminist movement and grow hair under their arms. The CIA is a part of the feminist movement. The FBI is a part of the feminist movement. So when you're getting involved with these things and you got hairy armpits, those are the FBI's armpits. That's the CIA's armpits that you touting around as if it's some freeing thing. That's why ISUPK is not affiliated with any other group because of things like this. I'm gonna get a scripture and we out. Let me see. All right, because even though there's a lot of propaganda, it's fine. It's fine. Let me see. I just want to read this last verse. It'll be what we read before. Kaash, if you could just read Exodus 11:7 to close us out.
Khan. This is Exodus chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
There's a difference in Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and the people that own this country. But the difference is them putting us down. The Lord is going to show you the difference is us being above all people. And he's no longer going, I'll check your phone real quick. Give me 1 second. There's going to be a difference put between us. And the difference is going to be none of these lies. It's right up in there. It should be in that blue joint. That way, huh?
You said check my phone.
Yeah. Did I send it to you? Oh damn! I didn't send it to the wrong number. Salaki. Give me 1 second. Salaki. Yeah, there's going to be a difference put between us and the heathen, but it's not going to be, was expected, by the heathen. The heathen has inherited lies. Remember, the scriptures say there's going to be evil men that wax worse and worse, and the seducers, I'm paraphrasing, are going to, it's probably in the blue zone right there, are going to seduce the seducers, and evil is going to wax strong. We need to get through this propaganda. The scriptures, where's the Bible now? The Bible shouldn't have a separate apocrypha. The King James 1611 version before 1885 had the apocrypha in it. How many years is that, man? For hundreds of years, the Bible was intact before the oppressor used it. Let me see. I like numbers. 1885 minus 1611. 270 something years, 74 years, this thing stayed whole. And then some goofy oppressor that likes to lie was able to convince us that it was a separate book and not canon. That's why we're messing up and we lost today, because we believe at face value what the oppressors say. They'll say facts is facts. But I came to tell you that that's a lie. The oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. We don't need to listen to that propaganda, and we need to gather ourselves together. With that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the class off to Priest and Officer Ka'aj. Yeah, you can just turn it, and then I got you from there. All right. Just right there.